This project involves 3 classes. Let's start by taking a look at the company class. And the first thing I have is an import statement. I'm going to use ArrayLists. You know you need that import statement. So let's see what a company is. A company contains an array list of employee objects named emplist. Okay, and a company also has a bunch of integers. These are all instance fields, of course: retire age, retire years, retire salary, and retire budget. All instance variables. All right, let's take a look at the constructor because this is a little bit different than you've seen constructors. So here I'm getting past retire age, retire years, retire salary, and I'm setting the instance variables to what's getting passed in by using the keyword this. Now I know you're used to seeing this variable different than this variable, like maybe like in the past we've just called this like R or something, and we'd set retire age to R. Well, you're allowed to use the same variable name here and here, but if you use the keyword this, it says you're setting the instance variable. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, I'm also setting the salary budget to 0, and here I'm declaring the emplist to be a new array list of employee objects. And this is a little bit different too. I know you're used to seeing the array list declaration all in one line, but typically when you're writing a class with a constructor like this, you'll see the ArrayList declaration, just the declaration part like this up top. And here I'm initializing emplist to a new ArrayList of employees. You don't want to redeclare it. In other words, I would not want to say ArrayList employee emplist equals new ArrayList employees. I just want to initialize it here. Hopefully that works. All right, now let's take a look at a couple of methods that you're going to have to write. So in this first method, add employee, you're getting past an employee. And actually, we can take a look at what an employee is. An employee is just a class that has an age, years on the job, salary, and ID. Not too bad, just 4 integers. So that's all an employee is. So let's go back to company. And of course, I should say for employee, there's a bunch of getters here. I can get the age and years on the job and salary, plus there's a toString. Very straightforward class. You've seen this many times. All right, so let's go back to company. So you're getting past an employee, and all you're supposed to do is add that employee to the array list named emplist, and then update the salary budget. Also shouldn't be a big deal. You know, salary budget, of course, is just an instance variable that's an int. No big deal. All right, let's take a look at the next method that you're going to have to write. In the next method, you're just printing the list of all the employees in the company. So that's going to involve some kind of for loop, and then you're printing the salary budget. Also no big deal. All right, the next method that you're writing is a little bit trickier. You're supposed to determine, it's a Boolean, you're supposed to determine if an employee is eligible to retire or not. Now, an employee is eligible to retire if at least 2 of these following criteria are met. So you've got to figure out if at least 2 of these things are met, if the employee is at least age of the retirement age, or they've worked at least so many years, retirement years, or their salary is at least the retirement salary. So you got to make sure that at least 2 of these are true, and then you're going to return true, the employee is eligible. And then finally, the last method that you're going to write is called process retirements, where you're going to remove all of the retirement eligible employees from the employee list and update the salary budget also. And I just want to talk real quick, so hang in there just for another minute, about how you delete things, because here is a case where you're going to be removing items from an array list, and it's a little bit trickier than you might first think. So the last method that you have to write, you have to remove items from an array list. And I thought we'd take a look at it in Snap so you can really see what's going on. So let's say I have a bunch of items in my array list, and let's say I want to remove Alex from my array list. Now, Alex is in there a bunch of times, as you can see. It's actually in there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So let's say I just wrote a regular for loop, and I went from 0 to less than the length of my list. Now, of course, in Snap, we've talked about this before. The array list items are numbered beginning with 1. Now, of course, in Java, they start with 0. But anyway, so let's say my for loop is going through my list here, and if the name equals Alex, I'm going to delete it. So my for loop is going to start at 1 in this case. So should I delete item number 1? Yes. And as soon as I do, watch what happens. right? Everybody gets shifted up. Okay, so now I'm looking at 2, all right? Should I delete number 2? Because my for loop keeps going up, right? So I'm gonna delete number 2 because that's also Alex. And then my for loop goes to 3. Should I delete item number 3? Yeah, because that's also Alex. Okay, now I'll go to 4. Should I delete 4? No. Should I delete 5? Yes. Do you see what happened? So if you delete items in an array list going forward, you end up skipping things. Why do you end up skipping things? Well, because every time you delete something, everybody gets pushed up to the top of the list. So really the better way, and maybe you're thinking ahead of me, the better way of deleting items from an array list is to start at the end of the list and work your way backwards. And I can do that super quick. So again, let's say I'm starting at 8. Do I remove Alex? Yeah, I'm trying to remove Alex, so I'll remove 8. Oops, do I remove 7? No. 6? No. 5? Yup. 4? Yup. 3? Yup. 2? No. 1? Yup. So when you delete items from an array list, you want to go backwards so you don't skip them. Of course, the other way to do it is to use a while loop. But you could figure that. You could say something like, while name is Alex, delete it, or whatever you want to delete. I don't know why I'm deleting Alex, but whatever. So hopefully that makes sense to you, and I think that should be enough for you to get started. So thanks so much for watching.